now I'm going to talk about selecting objects and selection methods. And again, like everything else in AutoCAD, there's a few ways of doing it. So the first way of selecting an object is by clicking on the object. Okay, and what that does is it highlights essentially the profile of the object, and it comes up with these grips, and we'll talk about these grips a little bit later on. But that's one way of doing it. To deselect an object, you hit escape. Okay. The second way of selecting an object is by dragging open a selection window, okay, starting from the left hand side of the object to the right hand side, okay. And with this, so you have the blue selection box. What you can either do, so let's back up a second. You can either drag from the left to the right or the right to the left. And you can see that they're two different types of selection boxes, okay? So from the left to the right, the blue selection box, this differs from the green selection box, okay, in the other direction, in that the object has to be fully encompassed within the blue selection box in order to be selected. So for example, if I make my selection box like this and click, okay, only this selects because it's the only object that's been fully engulfed in that blue selection box, okay, and then again hit escape to deselect it. Now if I do it the other way, and all I have to do is just, you know, make sure I'm not in a command and then just click and drag my mouse in the other direction. If I do it this way, okay, and you'll see that I don't have my objects fully engulfed within my selection box, but what the green selection box does is that it selects anything that touches the green selection box, so that I can click and it selects those objects, okay, because they're touching the green selection box and they're not, it doesn't matter if they're fully engulfed in it. And so those are the three ways that you can select objects, okay. Now when we select objects, then we can either activate the command first and then select objects, okay, or what we can do is we can select the objects first and then activate the command. And we'll see this more when we actually work with the modifiers, because that's where it's really going to become more of an issue. Now what I want to show you is the ortho function. So basically what we've done already is we have already created these shapes, but we've done so arbitrarily, okay? And as I keep mentioning, when we draft, we want to make sure that we draft very accurately, okay? Because that's what we're looking for, both when we hand draft, okay, and when we draft in AutoCAD. And so I'm going to erase these objects, so I'm going to use my selection tool, okay? And I usually prefer the green selection tool just because it's a little bit faster. And I'm just going to make sure my objects touch it. The reason why this hasn't all selected, okay, is that it's not a polygon or a polyline, and this is a polyline. So that's one of the differences between a line and a polyline, is that these are separate objects within one command, the line command, whereas the polyline makes it a continual line and object. So with these, I can just select them and they'll also add to the selection. If you ever need to deselect anything, if you hold down the shift key, okay, and then select again, that also deselects it. So you don't have to deselect everything and then select everything again, okay? You can be a little bit messy with it, and that's basically the point. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in E. Right, again, I'm activating the command after, okay, so I can either do it before or after for erase, and then enter. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to actually start to work with some lines and have them be orthogonal, okay? And so to do that, okay, what I want to do is I want to turn on my ortho, which is my snap mode, and this is getting into the snap modes a little bit more. So it's basically located in the middle of these snap modes, okay? And also what these snap modes do is they also are connected to the function keys at the top of your keyboard. So if you hit the F8 key, okay, that also turns on your ortho. So you'll find that they are associated with it. They will tell you, okay, which one they're associated with after, so you can see ortho mode and then in parentheses F8. So it makes it, again, a little bit quicker. AutoCAD has all these little tricks in order to make drafting quicker for you. So now basically when I type in L for line and I draw a line, now my mouse, okay, and my line is constrained to the 90 degrees. At any time I can turn it on and off, so I can actually be in the command and hit my F8 key and turn it off. Okay, or if I'm like, oh wait, I do want it to be orthogonal, then I can still be in the command and then hit my F8 key, or you can just go down here and turn it on and off as you need to. It won't kick you out of the command, and then you can make an orthogonal line. Now, when we're working with specific measurements in AutoCAD, again, there's 3 ways of doing it. The first is by typing in, X feet, so let's say 1 foot, and then dash whatever amount of inches, so let's say 2 inches. Okay, so we're saying literally 1 foot dash 2 inches. Now it's important that we have that dash because, again, remember, spacebar means enter. So if we don't have that dash and I accidentally hit enter after 1 foot, we're not snapping to 1 foot 2 inches, we're only snapping to 1 foot. So that's where it gets a little bit tricky. And then I can hit enter and it'll snap it to 1 foot 2 inches, and then hit escape to get out of that command. The other way of doing it is by, again, typing in line, specifying your start point, moving your mouse out and saying 1 foot 2 inches. Okay, what this does is it actually allows you to not have that dash. So that dash is really optional. Okay, I can just say 1 foot, no dash, but 2 inches, and have it be the same. So again, hit enter, 1 foot 2 inches, enter, and then hit enter or escape to get out of that command. The other one is that I can also type in inches too as well, and that's the default for AutoCAD is the inches. Okay, so what that means is that if I create another line and I type in 14, okay, it's going to mean 14 inches. So really, that inch symbol is optional. So yes, I can say 1 foot. Okay, I always have to have that foot marking, but I can say 1 foot 2, or I can say 1 foot 2 inches. Okay, they're both going to mean the same thing. If I just put in 14, okay, automatically AutoCAD's going to say 14 inches. So its default is inches. So sometimes it's unnecessary to put in that inch tick because you don't need it. Okay, it's just an extra step that you would have to, that you're creating for yourself. So if I type in 14, hit enter, and then hit enter or escape again, that's another line that's at 1 foot 2 inches. So there are different ways of working with it. Now fractions. Okay, they get a little bit tricky, but essentially the same thing works for fractions. So again, type in L for line. Okay, also if you want to redo a command, all you have to do is hit enter, and that automatically redoes the last command. So that's a nice little, again, time-saving trick that AutoCAD has. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with, again, specifying my first point, and then I'm going to type in let's say 1 foot and 1/2 inch. Okay, so I'm going to type in 1 foot. Okay, we always have to have that foot tick. But then what I'm doing is I want a 1/2 of an inch. Okay, I don't want a 1/2 of a foot, I want a 1/2 of an inch. So I'm going to type in, okay, dash 1/2 inches. Okay, again, that dash is optional, and again, that inch tick is optional. So I'm going to hit enter and then enter again. So again, same thing. I just right-clicked to redo the command. So I'm going to start specifying start point, and then I'm going to do 1 foot, okay, dash 1/2. Same thing, or 1 foot 1/2. That dash and those inch marks are optional. Okay, So if I do, let's say 1/2, okay, again, that means 1/2 of an inch. Automatically AutoCAD is going to associate no ticks with inches. Okay, so that's going to be 1/2 of an inch. You can also work with decimals, as well when entering dimensions. So if I have, let's say, 1/4 of a foot, okay, if I want it to be 3 inches, okay, what I can do is I can say 0.25 feet, okay, for 1/4 of a foot. I can type in, 0.75 feet for 3/4 of a foot. I can type in, let's say 0.25, and that's going to be 1/4 of an inch if I don't put the inch tick or the foot tick. So if I do that, you'll see it's much smaller, and that's because it's a 1/2 inch. It's not a half, foot or anything like that. That would be indicated by that foot tick. You can also do, let's say if I want 1.5 feet, 1.5 feet. Okay, so there's many different ways of entering in measurements when you start to work with AutoCAD.